Hey everybody, this is Dark Side Elite here, and I wanted to do a video talking about the relationship between Tim Drake and Bruce Wayne. I think that this needs to be talked about mainly because I do believe that a lot of people don't understand their relationship or understand the fact that this character means to Bruce Wayne. And I want to illustrate that here in some of these pictures here. I looked around for a little bit and found some pictures, some relative pictures, and I want everyone to go look back at certain other things. Um, this picture is supposed to take place before Rebirth. This was during basically the during the New 52, and it's right. No, it's supposed to take place right before Flashpoint. Basically, this is the arc that happened after Bruce Wayne came back from the dead, and Superman, Green Lantern, Rip Hunter went through time to try to find out what the heck happened to him, and they found out due to Tim Drake. Tim Drake was getting weird messages, and during his time as Red Robin, he was getting these weird messages, and he couldn't figure it out. But then he realized one solid thing: it had a revelation to bats, and that's when he realized that it was Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne was leaving messages behind, and they couldn't figure out what the heck it was. During the whole battle for the cowl, when Dick Grayson was Batman, Tim Drake made a revelation and said that Bruce Wayne is alive. And Richard and Damian, they were like, okay, well, if he's alive, then where the heck is he? Tim says, well, he's going to go find out. And Richard told Tim that if you do this, and if you do this, don't put all your eggs in one basket, because Bruce is one of those characters that one of those people that if he wants to be found out, he will, if he was alive, then he would come back. So Tim went on this huge thing about looking for some information, and he did find some information and related back to Superman, who basically talked to Rip Hunter through Booster Gold. And that's what started the whole return of Bruce Wayne story arc. Now, this comes up right after Batman comes back and he reinvents the Batman Incorporated storylines. A lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was very inventive to say, hey, they're going to start a brand new Batmans all over the world, and that Bruce Wayne is basically going to fund them. I thought that was kind of strange. They should not have done that, because if something ever happens, you kind of pigeonhole yourself into the fact that Bruce Wayne is now being the one that's going to finance all these Bat characters, these vigilantes, proclaiming to be Batman. But basically, I'm sorry, not Richard, but Tim comes up, and as he's trying to start a brand new, start his whole new existence, he gets pulled to his own little 26 limited series. It was a very good series. We got a whole new understanding of Tim Drake, him finding out that it was Ra's al Ghul that was buying out all of Bruce Wayne's money and his corporations, because he wanted to see if Bruce Wayne was really alive. And Tim Drake went through all these story arcs and come to the realization that it was literally Ra's al Ghul that was doing all of this, and he confronts Ra's al Ghul. And at the very end, Ra's al Ghul nicknames him Detective, which is a highly respected phrase that he only tells that to Bruce Wayne. So for any person who knows Tim Drake, who understands Tim Drake and understands Batman in whole, that means that Ra's al Ghul considers Tim Drake an equal. That is something that's highly regarded, and that's what made me really love the whole character of Tim Drake further and further and further. Now, when he got back, he knew Bruce Wayne was there. Bruce Wayne came back as Batman, and he still let Richard become Batman and continue with his son, and he went around the world as Batman. And so no one could think that he's the original Batman, because Richard did such a great job as Batman while he was gone. And as you can see in the picture, he embraced Tim, because Tim was the only person that believed that he was alive, and defied all odds. Even Damian didn't even think that his father was alive. He thought that if his father was alive, he would come back, and the stereotypical thing. If Bruce Wayne was alive, he would not stay dead. He would come back. So Tim took it upon himself to basically be this to be the one person that believed that Bruce was alive, and went and got the evidence and gave that evidence to Superman, and they went into this whole time travel storyline and brought Bruce back from the back, and and um and basically was able to save his basically his father. He saved his father from dying, and this was one of the greatest scenes, in my personal opinion, one of the greatest scenes in the books, because it shows how strong of a relationship Tim and Bruce have. And I think that a lot of people should know this, and they should get a good revelation of this in the comics and even in live action, of how strong of a relationship Bruce does have with Tim. It's not like he doesn't love any of his other sons any less. It just shows how strong of a connection that Bruce has with Tim, because I've said it in many, many videos. Tim is pretty much what Bruce would be if he didn't become the way Batman is. If he was just wanted to be a costume hero, he would be more like Tim. And Tim was again one of the only kids that he didn't want in his life. He did not want Tim Drake in his life. He wanted to just, and I will illustrate this in another clip, in another picture here, that he didn't want Tim Drake. He did not want Tim Drake, but Tim Drake grew on him, and he realized that this was the greatest Robin he probably ever going to have. It doesn't put Dick Grayson at any level, any darker. Any lower levels. Not Jason nor Damian. It just means that Tim Drake was that connected to Bruce, and also, it's just like that parent. You have that one parent. The parent doesn't love that one child any less. It just means that this other child has such a stronger connection to them, that they have that stronger connection. So that's how I feel their relationship is. Now this one, right here is them embracing again, but this is the one from Batman 654. It was the one. This was the one way before Final Crisis. This was in the early 2000s. This was after Captain Boomerang killed Jack Drake, Tim Drake's father, and they went through the trial, and Captain Boomerang went to prison, and Bruce told Tim that the only way for this to work is he has to allow justice to prevail. They will get the evidence that they need, they will prove it, and they will put Captain Boomerang in jail, and he will be in jail for a long time. And but at that time, Tim didn't know what the heck was going to happen, because he's still a minor. He's like 17 years old at this time, 16, 17 years old. He's not 18 yet, so he's not an emancipated minor yet. He's not an emancipated youth. So Bruce did what he felt was the right thing to do, and he asked him, "Do you want to be a part of my family? I know that he cannot replace his father, and he doesn't want to, but will he allow him to join him, not as his partner, but now as a son?" And of course, as you see, Tim hugged him and he embraced him, and Alfred thought that was a really great idea, and he told him that it will be okay. And again, this is one of those things, is it shows the strong connection. Like he didn't have to adopt him. He didn't adopt he adopted Dick Grayson, but he didn't change Dick Grayson's last name. Dick Grayson is Dick Grayson. He's not he's not Richard Grayson Wayne. He's Richard Grayson. So, but with Tim, it was different. He officially adopted him into his family through paperwork and everything, and his name is Timothy Jackson Drake Wayne. That's his full name. And I don't know if they did that in Rebirth. I don't think they did that in Rebirth, but I believe that they still do. But he doesn't call himself Timothy Wayne. He doesn't call himself Timothy Drake Wayne. So but it still shows that he did adopt him. He's not like a ward to Bruce Wayne, but he is a Wayne by paperwork. Now I know in New 52 they did do that. His name is Timothy Drake Wayne, and he had official paperwork and everything. I don't know if they did that in Rebirth. I haven't heard much of it in Rebirth, but again, he's barely in Rebirth as it is, and they only just call him Timothy Drake. So I'm gonna go off the assumption is that they wrote that out. They wrote that out so no one get confused about Timothy, but is Tim Bruce Wayne's legitimate son or not. But he shouldn't be as long as you did the storylines correctly. But that's one illustration to show the relationship that they have, that it's a very, very strong relationship, that Bruce was willing to actually bring him into his family and have his last name. And also there's a lot more going on because during the time when he was Red Robin and he went to go confront what the heck was going on with the company, literally, um, Tim was one of the high CEOs of the company. Damian did not have any stake in the company. It was all left to Tim. Tim and Richard had, and also Jason all had stake in the company, but Tim was put as the high the COO. He was no, he was the COO of the company. Um, the face of the company is always going to be Lucius Fox next to Bruce Wayne, but Tim was another person that came in and was able to talk a lot about the company, and he led that company during that time frame, and he did a phenomenal job, which actually got Lucius to look at Tim like, this kid is actually, he acts a lot like Bruce Wayne. He does. He acts exactly like Bruce Wayne would do in those situations, and that's why, again, if you gotta read a lot about Tim Drake. You cannot look past this character because he does act a lot like Bruce Wayne. When it comes to business orientation and leading, he acts like Bruce Wayne, and it's shocking that people think that Damian Wayne is the greatest Robin of all time, but he really isn't. And there's other Robins that actually dwarf him in what they're capable of truly doing, not just because of his bloodline, but because of what Batman was able to teach them, from the fundamentals to their advanced techniques, and also the fact of what they were able to learn outside of not being with Batman all the time. And that's where I feel that a lot of people don't truly understand. Now, this one right here, this is supposed to be during the New 52. Now, this is their new explanation of why of Tim Drake and how he became Bruce Wayne's Robin. And I know that it's a little bit fuzzy here. I'm gonna pull up the website and I'm gonna look that one up and I'm gonna read to you what he says. Now, it is very revealing because I've said it numerous times. He was the Robin that Bruce Wayne did not want. He did not want him as as his Robin. He wanted to um, basically wanted to not have another Robin at all. He did not want another Robin. So what he says here is because what happened is um, Alfred went to go confront the boy and basically throw him for a loop because because through his investigational work he was able to find out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. He looked through everything that Bruce Wayne put up. I mean, Bruce Wayne put up a lot of barriers to keep his secret identity safe, which is understandable. But Tim Drake was able to piece it all together by accounts, and also not for the obvious factor that Batman has to have all this levels of money. No, I mean, anything can happen. He could take money and this and this and this and this. So he put up a lot of barriers to make sure that no one could find out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. But Tim Drake looked through all of it, and he basically he used the death of the Graysons as a pivotal point because he was there when the Graysons died, and he used that. He used that level of information and how Bruce acted that night as a way of finding out that he was Batman. He confronted him, and Bruce Wayne ignored him. He kept going into the information, and he through the investigation, and Batman put up a lot of barriers to put up against Tim, but Tim was relentless until he was confronted by Alfred in a costume that kind of frightened him to the point where he didn't want to pursue it any further. And Alfred told him that this kid is good. He's very good. And right here he says, Bruce says he's every bit as talented as you say he is. And yes, I'm impressed as hell that he spent his entire waking moment trying to figure out my secret identity. What's more close, he's come closer than anyone else ever has. Now, people could say, well, what about Gordon? Here's the thing about James Gordon. James Gordon does not give two S's who's underneath that suit. He doesn't care. And also, Bruce lays down his defenses against James Gordon because he knows that James Gordon is not going to put Batman behind bars. He would rather allow James to give him an opportunity to just put the cowl down and not become Batman if it becomes too much for the city. But he has done so much for that city that James Gordon does not care who the hell's underneath that cowl. He doesn't care. And if he does know, he would feign ignorance. He would not put any investigation to find out who he was. He would do investigations that would go around a roundabout. He would do roundabout investigations and everything. James Gordon doesn't care. So people say, what about the Joker? Joker doesn't care who the hell's underneath that cowl. He doesn't care either. For him, it's not about who's underneath the cowl. It's about the cowl. It's about Batman. The person underneath the mask, anybody can be Batman. He knows that. Anybody can be Batman. It's the cowl. What that cowl represents is what Joker wants to deal with. He doesn't care about who's underneath the cowl. He can find out too. He can while he's underground, he can easily find out who the hell Batman is. It won't take him very long, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care. So, and people can say, well, what about Death of the Family? He did find out who he was. No, if he did, he would have revealed it. He would have told Bruce. When Bruce goes down in that cave, Joker could just peer out of nowhere and say, "So I know it's you." He goes, "Take off the cowl, Bruce." And again, if you look at the Batman Who Laughs storyline, Bruce had his cowl off in front of Joker. Joker does not care who the hell's underneath that mask. He doesn't care. It's more about he has to take down the Batman. So for Joker, it's not underneath the mask. It's the mask itself. So we're gonna go a little bit further. He says, what's more, he's come closer than anyone else ever has. But if you think I'm going to even consider taking on another Robin after that, what happened to the last one, to Jason, sir? Now, you could see his demeanor on this. He's pretty much saying he doesn't want another Robin. He doesn't want another Robin because of what happened to Jason, because he doesn't want to put another child in harm's way. Richard got lucky. Jason didn't. And that's how he saw it. And that's how he views it. But this is the part where it kind of changes a little bit. I know his name, Alfred. Then you should do him the honor of using it. I suspected Master Jason would not approve of you using his death as a reason to retire the role of Robin, Master Bruce. Now, people can say, well, what about Richard? Richard kind of doesn't care about the role. He knows that he was his first Robin, but he doesn't really care. And the reason why he doesn't really care is the fact that he's Nightwing now. The role of Robin has left him a long time ago. And if Bruce wants to retire Robin, that's his prerogative. Richard is not going to jump up and down and get mad at him for it. And here's the thing that a little bit further, but I'm going to get further in the second frame here. And the fact that during that time frame, he never used Jason's name. He always just told him the other one. He always says the other one. What happened to the second Robin? He never gave him a name, and he started to do it when he finally got Tim. When Tim started to come into his life, he finally started to talk about Jason and what happened with Jason, and it started to help him heal a little bit. Now, this last frame right here is the core. It is the pure core to why why the other two Robins are different from Tim Drake. Here it is. This kid has something Dick and Jason and I did not when we put on our mask. He has a family. I never want to be in the position of having to bring their son home dead some morning. That is the reasoning of why Bruce did not want Tim Drake a part of his life. He didn't want him to be a part of it. Now, this is New 52. His mother was in the original continuity. His mother was already dead. Tim already knew his mom and everything else, but his mother already passed away. His father was still alive. In the New 52, both his parents are alive, and he flat out stated he did not want to take a child away from two parents. That is not what he's about. He's not doing that. However, when Bruce started to become more violent and more angry towards the villains, Alfred reached out to Tim, and Tim went back and forced himself into it. Because Alfred told him that if you want to become part of this world, if you want to become his Robin, you need to make it. You need to be in his face. Bruce will accept you more if you are in his face than you are just basically being a passive aggressive. And that's what happened. Tim got into his face and said, "No, you need me as Robin." And when Bruce was in a predicament and he needed help and he couldn't get himself out of that situation, Tim went out there with Alfred in his ear, and he listened to everything Alfred told him what to do, and he was able to save Bruce. And that's what made Bruce realize that this kid is willing to do it, and that's when he set down the ground rules. Now there is one more. I'm gonna try to see if I can pull it up. I'm gonna try to pull it up here. Now, just give me a moment. I will try to pull this up. Sorry. There is one extra picture if I can get it. Okay, I don't have it on my computer. Hold on one second. I'm going to get this video. Basically, I believe this. Hold on. Okay, let me put it in here. Okay, so I'm gonna have my face here because I don't want to be in the middle of all this and something happens. Okay, so I'm gonna set it up and then I'm gonna put it in there. Okay, let me see if I can get this in there. Okay, that looks very bad. Sorry about this. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I mean, I know it's a little pixely, but pretty much this is what he's saying. He says, this is him confronting Tim. Now, I don't think this is New 52. This might be New 52, judging from the artistry. But if it is, then cool. He basically told him, let me be clear. I won't lose another Robin. You agree to work with me? Do what I say when I say it. To trust me like I'll come to trust you, then we'll have a deal, partner. Now, that was his rules. His rules were you listen to what I say and you live. And then once I start to trust you, if you trust me, I will trust you, and then we'll have a huge deal. And what did Tim do? He trusted him. He listened to everything Bruce says. He did everything Bruce asked him to do. He did everything. And he literally surprised Bruce to the point where those rules he put up, the rule he said to agree, you agree to work with me, you do as I say when I say it, to trust me like I'll come to trust you. That literally, that bubble, that middle bubble is exactly what happens. He started to trust Bruce, and Bruce was started to trust him, and then all these other rules started to slowly go away. He didn't see him as a sidekick. He saw him as a partner. He saw him as a partner that can really, really do a lot. And I really, really, really liked it. And that's the reason why I love the relationship between Bruce Wayne and Tim Drake. I love that relationship because this is the end result of that relationship, because these two see each other as that he was his saving grace. In all honesty, Tim Drake was his saving grace. He saved him from going down a darker path, and Superman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, The Flash, Martian Manhunter. They would have watched the one of the greatest heroes of in their world fall down into darkness, and it would create such a stained legacy on Batman, and Tim saved him from that. And then when Tim lost his father, he remembered through Bruce what happened to him too, so he couldn't go down that path also. And that's the reason why I really really hope that a lot of people understand why Tim Drake is one of the best Robins. So I'm gonna leave it here. Like, comment, share, subscribe down below. Hit that bell. I will put this is gonna be one of my last videos for the week. I will have it out, and you guys, I hope you guys enjoy. Again, enjoy Tim Drake. He's a really great character, and I hope that you guys really, really, really read up about him and get to know his character, because he's being shafted. He's being shafted. I don't care what anybody says. He's being shafted. Brian Michael Bendis might do a really great job with him, a part of Young Justice, but we're not getting a live action version of him. I know for a fact we're not going to get a live action version of him, because they want to do Damian Wayne. They want Damian Wayne front and center because that's his biological son. They don't. They want to have Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, because Jason Todd is his own character. Dick Grayson is the first Robin, but Tim Drake has been so shafted. It's ludicrously stupid. So I hope that you guys enjoy. You guys have a great day. All right. Bye bye.